Good morning, everybody, and thank you for your patience in waiting. We have just waited a few minutes longer to allow more people to join. So thank you again, and welcome to this webinar on CSCS call for proposals. I used to do this regularly, and then for a couple of last time we didn't do it. But because there are some news, and I'm not totally sure they have been fully grabbed, people, it would be good if you mute yourself. And I will, this will not be a technical proposal. I want to remind you all that Luca Marcella, my colleague Luca Marcella, gave a webinar on the technical part of the submission of proposal on April 12, and the recording is available on our webpage. So this will be really about what we are offering and how to apply. This is a reminder that, I mean, there is still subscription of our infrastructure, and so we need to have a healthy and competition on how to distribute the resources, and usually the amount of resources granted is dependent on the quality of the proposals that are submitted. So the quality still makes the difference. In the user program, we have, you know, I mean, if you are users of CSCS since long, you might know this, but we have 2 national calls for proposal per year. And then we have, because for some reason, some discussion with with the joint undertaking this year, this time PRACE was not able to open call 25. We decided to reopen our tier 0 call for proposal that was called CHRONOS. We had it before becoming an hosting members in PRACE, and now we are offering it again because for us. Can you mute yourself, please? Can you mute yourself, please? Thank you. So, and we reopen our. We are listening to someone laughing and talking. Can you please mute yourself? Thank you. So the allocation schemes are more or less unchanged. We have the preparatory project that we always strongly advise to you all to take advantage of if you haven't had any technical data to support your production project. Then we have our standard production projects application in the regular national calls to start on April 1st and October 1st. And now we have the CHRONOS call for proposal to start on October 1st. You will still find all the information on our webpage. The slides will be also available, so don't worry if you don't catch it. Who can apply? So at CSCS, to apply for resources, you have to hold at least a postdoc position in an academic institution. You can submit more than one proposal, but it has to be absolutely clear that if you submit more than one proposal, the proposal have to be different. The proposal have to address 2 different scientific problems, and the technical data have to be tailored to the scientific problems that you are addressing in each one of the proposal. You cannot simply copy and paste. This is something that is not well seen by the panel, and then you usually are not rewarded for that. So now we go into detail in the CHRONOS tier 0 call for proposal. For those of you that don't remember it, I will freshen up your memory. So the CHRONOS call for proposal is a tier 0 call. And the idea there is that you have a very challenging scientific problem that you want to address. And to address this problem, you need a really large resources. So it's not your standard daily work that you want to do, but you have really a problem that you were never able to address because we or whatever you are applying never gave you enough resources. And now this is again your chance to apply. We had to introduce also for the regular call, actually, we had to introduce some requirements on how you write the proposal, because applicants are becoming very imaginative, and some scientific reviewers starting to be not so happy because it's very difficult for them to read the proposal the way it's written. And so we are giving some guidelines. So please, for as much as possible, follow these guidelines. The length of your CHRONOS proposal has to be 15 pages. You can use the font that you like, but don't go smaller than size 11, please. And also leave some margin, as this is the standard margin. I didn't change anything. This is the standard margin, at least in the document, in the doc files. The project proposal and templates have to be downloaded on our webpage. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the tier 0 call for proposal in praise, the proposal template and the technical guidelines have remained almost unchanged. And this has been done on purpose because, I mean, we were hoping until the last minute to have a call 25. Call 25 didn't appear, and so we decided to keep it structured exactly as it was before. If maybe we keep going with our CHRONOS call for proposal, we might also revisit a bit both documents. But for this time, they are really very, very similar to what PRAISE was offering before. And then you will have the usual standard submission form. If you have submitted a proposal at CSCS, you have seen this already. And then you have to upload the three PDF files: your project, your curriculum vitae, and your publication list. Now, for the CHRONOS call for proposal, the deadline is actually a bit later because we wanted to give you more time to prepare, and that is the 30th of May 2022 at 5 p.m. Now, you really have to apply within the 5 o'clock because the portal will close at 5:01, so you will no longer be able to apply. What are the resources available now for the CHRONOS call? Our regular PITS-DIND that you know now because it's been here for quite some time. And the resources are still the same as the allocation for the tier 0 is still the same. You have to ask for a minimum of 1 million node hours. But then, because maybe you heard that CSCS is part of Switzerland, not CSCS, Switzerland is part of the consortium led by Finland, where they are installing this Lumi system in Finland. We have a share on that machine, and we decided to make the share of that machine available also in our call for proposal. But again, also there, you have to really ask for large allocation. This is not for tiny proposal, even though, yes, I understand the architecture is more modern, it's more powerful and everything, but this, for the moment, these resources are still just dedicated to the tier 0 call for proposal. Now, to make you aware of the difference, on PITS-DIND, one node has 1 GPU and 12 cores. We always said that one node on DIND is 68 core equivalent, but on Lumi, one node has 4 GPUs and 64 cores. So when you ask for the million on one machine or the other, there is a difference that you have to be very aware of. The CHRONOS, the reviewing process is really not different from what you have known from praise, maybe tiny bit simplified, because we won't have the rapporteurs, but we have a technical feasibility assessment but done by CSCS. We have 3 reviewers per proposals, and then the panel will meet at the end and will make a recommendation, will rank the proposal and make a recommendation to the director, who will then accept or reject the recommendation. Usually our director always accepts the recommendation of the panel. Now, the one last thing that I want to say is we are fully aware that the LumiG is not yet available for benchmarking and testing. And this is kind of a problem for the resource allocation. But the idea behind this is that we ask you to anyway do some benchmark on DINT, especially if the code is not known as CSCS, because we want to understand what the code is doing, how it's behaving. Not me personally, but the technical people at CSCS want to have this understanding. But if, as expected, we will have access to a LumiG sometimes in summer, for some proposal, we might actually contact you and help you to also test your codes on LumiG. Sorry. So we are aware that the machine is not available. We are aware that DINT is very different from LumiG, but we are still asking you to please do some homework and help us understanding how your code behaves. Now, for the 2022 National Call for Proposal, the second National Call for Proposal, I will also go along the same line and present you what is new and what you can apply for. If you have questions, you can either put them in the chat, or in the end of my presentation, we will have time for you to ask questions, clarifications, or whatever you need. I forgot to say in the beginning that with me in the room there is Luca Marcella. So if you also have some technical questions, you can ask, and we will certainly try to answer. So for the National Call for Proposal, this is again new for the same reason that I mentioned before. We give you guidelines on how to write the proposal, because again, we need to make life easier for everybody. So the length is 10 pages. You should, if possible, use Arial or Times New Roman, and don't go below 11 font size. Margin are the standard one. And here also, if you have worked with us for quite some time, you should also know that we have a template also for the technical report that needs to be provided. And so we strongly recommend you, both for CHRONOS and for the National Call, to use the template. Again, you will have the same kind of form. We haven't changed the form for the submission for the CHRONOS and the National Calls. So you will have to fill in the form. Please be careful when you submit the form, because there we really ask you what is your annual requirement for resources, for storage. And so this data needs to still make sense. And then you will have to upload your three files. The deadline for submission of proposal has not changed at all. It's published since at least 1 year ago. So it will be Monday, 16th of May, 2022, again at 5 p.m. And again, please remember that the portal will close at 5:01. So you will not be able to submit later than then. The proposal description is available on our webpage, so I'm not going to go into the detail, but you have to express all your requests in node hours. You can specify whether you need a CPU or GPU or both, what kind of memory, disk space. Please remember that the disk space has to be justified, especially if you want more than the 10 terabytes that we usually provide as a standard disk space allocation. Then it would be nice if you also specify whether you need visualization and pre and post processing. What is available in the national call for proposal? In the national call, you know, we have the hybrid system with the dined hybrid. We have the dined multi-core, and I have to stress here again that you will not be able to apply for the dined multi-core. So all your data has to be provided on the hybrid system. Said that, at the time of the panel, if your code is running only on CPUs, the panel will rank all the proposal asking only for CPUs and move them on the multi-core partition. So this is why all your data have to be on the hybrid, even if you don't use the GPUs. Please remember that Haswell and Broadwell are not dramatically different, so you don't really there is no really a disadvantage. Of course, the difference is that on the hybrid, you only have 12 cores. On the multi-core, you have 36 cores. But the conversion factor will be applied. In this call, for the same reason as before, we do have access also to a partition of a share of the LumiC, so the multi-core Lumi system. And here again, you have to you can apply also for these resources. The multi-core requests are still less than 500K simply because on the dined system, I mean, I don't know, I've said this many times. We only have 1,000 nodes that they are available for the user program on the multi-core partition, whereas on the hybrid system, we have 5,700 nodes. So we cannot simply allow very super large allocations because we don't have the resources to give large allocations. Okay, sorry, no, on the, yes, on the LumiC, there is a K missing. I'm sorry, I will fix it before publishing the slides. So on PITS dined, I said one node has 1 GPU plus 12 cores, and this is where you have to apply. But on LumiC, one node has 2 AMD is dual socket, so 2 times 64 cores, and so one node hours is 128 cores. This is just to make you aware of the differences. Now, I have written this on the is actually published on our webpage, but here I stress it again. Preparatory access for benchmarking on LumiC is absolutely possible. So if you want to test LumiC because you would like to ask for an allocation also on LumiC, I recommend you that you contact project office at cscs.ch, and we will grant you, open for you a benchmarking access on LumiC. Again, review process has not changed at all. There will be technical feasibility assessment by CSCS. There will be 2 peer review per proposals, and then again, the panel will meet, will rank the proposal, make a recommendation, and then send it to the director. And usually we try to be fast, but it takes 1 week, 10 days to send you back the feedback and the final acceptance or rejection letter. Now, about the multi-year, there is always the question whether we can submit a multi-year proposal. So professors can definitely submit a multi-year proposal, but if you do that, you have to make sure that you all have a research plan that justifies the multi-year request, and you have to provide at least 2 milestones per year, because these milestones will be the one against which the panel will assess the renewal, because of course the renewal doesn't go again through technical or scientific assessment, but there must be some tangible points that can be checked. And please, when you submit the renewal, just follow our template. We appreciate if you want to submit an additional PDF file, but we really want you to just answer the question that we ask in the template, which should be make your life easier. I mean, because it's we don't want to ask too much for your time for the renewals, but it would make the life of the panel much easier if we have a common way of reporting the renewals, the achievement in the various renewals. Again, there is a limitation for the renewals, because in the second or third year, you will never be able to get more than 20% that was what has been allocated for you. Because, and this is very simple, because if you ask again for double the original allocation, it means that you have a completely new proposal that you are basically, or idea that you want to investigate. And so usually we don't really approve of that. If you have new ideas, you should simply submit a new proposal. Some general remarks that I have also presented in the past, and I will I also refresh in this presentation, is what is an excellent proposal, or what is a proposal that is actually going flawless through the reviewing process. Your science should be very interesting, very exciting, and the resources that you are asking have to be justified. So you really have to pay attention, especially if you ask for large allocation, you have to pay attention to properly justify your request. I said many times, if you ask for small allocation, it's easier for you to pass, even if the proposal at the justification of our resources is not so, is not really nice, that maybe you even have a conditionally accepted from the staff, from CSCS staff, but if you ask for large allocation, this is a no-go. So you have to take this seriously. Then you have to have a clear presentation of the benchmark and resource request, and the data have to support, all the data has to be coherent and supporting your request. You cannot put, so to speak, random benchmarks that do not, that have nothing to do with what you are actually going to study. Again, I already mentioned this, but here I write it down. So unclear justification of resources, requests that cannot be calculated from the given data. I mean, you have to understand that CSCS staff has to review a number of proposals. And so it cannot be very complicated for them to grab your number and to actually check that they are correct and that the data support your request. So please keep in mind that this is an important step. And again, giving us the benchmark for water when you are studying something completely different from water doesn't really help anybody. So please provide the benchmarks that are relevant for your study. what we want to see is, I mean, we are aware that sometimes, or many times, I don't know, it's very difficult to give a very precise estimate of the resource that you are asking, but you still can do an estimate that is based on the data that you're providing, and so can still be a reasonable estimate for us to work with. The other thing that I have been in the reviewing process for many, many years, and I constantly hear the same complaint. Sometimes in the proposal give the impression, the applicants give the impression that they choose the number of runs or the number of models that they need to run to fit the resources that they want to have, but they never just justify why they need to run X number of models, X number of runs. And this has to be justified by the science, as I say in my slides. So please make an effort, because the scientific reviewer and also the panel is always not really happy when you just randomly say, I will run 100 runs and that's it. You need to say why you need 100 runs, why not 1,000, why not 1? What do we want to see? What do we not want to see is a problem that is vaguely related to your proposal, but is not really very clear what you want to do, and a problem of very different size than the one that you are proposing. Again, you need, and not justifying the number of runs, as I just said. If you need a preparatory access, you should always ask for a preparatory access. Of course, 1 day before the deadline will not be granted, but if you come a reasonable time, it will be granted. Incomplete, okay, missing and incompleting data is also a problem. Inconsistent data, is it a problem? So please pay attention. We have always offered this as CSCS since many years. If you are uncertain or you need help, you can always contact CSCS, and there will always be someone of the technical expert that will sit with you. Now with Zoom is even easier sitting with you, and will go through the technical part that can help you to actually do the work and do it right. We also offer to have a review of your technical part before you submit it. But this has to really come at least 1 week before the deadline, because and that 1 week is really borderline, because if there are problems, it's not a given that we will be able to help you. And 1 week before the deadline is not an excuse for you to say, but I contacted CSCS and they were not able to help. So if you need help, you are absolutely welcome. We encourage that, but you need to come to us in giving us enough time to actually help you. Please do not submit benchmarks on different systems. I mean, BitDyn has been unique for quite some time and has remained unique, but we do understand very well that LumiG is very, very different from Dyn, and might be actually more similar to more modern system. They are out there like Marconi 100, Jewel Booster, or the US systems. So if you, in addition, have data on such system, you are more than welcome to put them in. But this will only be accepted for the CHRONOS call, because the LumiG system is not yet available. Again, these I have said in many, also previously, the demand for the disk storage is increasing. So you need to justify why you want to have certain storage. It's really, really important that you make an effort to justify the storage requested. Because if it is well justified, we can give you what you ask. But if, again, it's just an assertion saying, I need this, then give it to me. We might not actually do that. I am almost at the end, so don't get too worried about the time. This is actually our web page. You find in the allocation schemes, you find the deadlines. And here I just want to show you that we have published already the next 3 allocation call for proposals. So if you want to be aware of your timelines, because I know that you scientists have to submit proposal for money, for more people, from other resources, so you have busy times, and this is why we make an effort to always give you the deadlines of submission of proposal very well in advance. So you will have the next 3 calls already published out there. And what is new, I did the same exercise also for the renewals. So those of you that have multi-year projects can already see that the deadline for submission of the renewals. Also, please be aware that we never open the portal for the submission of the renewals months in advance, but only about a month before the deadline. And this is done on purpose because we really want to wait for as much as possible for you to give us the most updated results. So again, this is where you find basically everything that I've said you today, but maybe for the general remarks. And I thank you very much for your attention. Now I would leave open for, we can answer some questions. You can simply unmute yourself and ask the question. Or if you don't want to ask the question, you can write it in the chat. So please. If
Maria
anyone...
Grazia.
Yes, Daniele. Hi.
Hi. I have a question about the LumiG, the CHRONOS. So every node has 4 GPUs. So that means that 1 node hours is 4 GPU hours there. So okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, it's much bigger than Dyn, Daniele. Yes.
Yes.
I can see your point. Yes, yes. I mean, the point is this. We don't want to have a very small project on LumiG. So your allocation has to be a really big allocation to get access. That's the idea. Now, if it's a little less than 1 million on the LumiG, it's fine, but cannot be a tiny allocation where you just want to go on the LumiG.
Yeah, related to that, if I may, is when I test things on the Dyn GPU for the purpose of a CHRONOS LumiG, then one issue could be the memory per core, memory per node. And usually if I want to fit a big calculation, I am forced to use, for example, 2 MPI and 6 OpenMP per node. And this allows to use the memory. I have seen that more or less the memory per GPU or per core should be similar in the 2 machines. Is it true?
Is this we can check. I gave you a link on the. I didn't. Sorry, Daniele. I don't have up on the top of my head the memory on the LumiG. But if you follow the link that I put also on our webpage, there you find also all the memory information.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I will write you an email.
No, it's okay. I am in contact with Mathieu, so.
Perfect. Okay, so you are in contact with the team at CSCS.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you, Daniele.
There is a question in chat, Maria,
yeah.
LumiG not being asked for a 3-year proposal.
No, the multi-year, yes, the multi-year. This is not really. This is not really what we want for the CHRONOS call. It never was multi-year plan, multi-year allocation. Now, if you can prove that what you are trying to do really requires more than 1 year, we might consider it. But if it's just to make your life easier in the sense that you don't want to submit a new proposal every year, that's not a reason for having a multi-year project. Actually, this discussion has been going on and on also in the praise, exactly the same discussion, that to have a multi-year allocation, you need to really prove that your science, whatever the problem you are addressing, require more than 1 year to give you results. So it has to be a well thought request. Any other question?
Hello, I have a related question.
Yes, Francesco.
If you already have a successful proposal and you realize that you need more time to complete it, you have to submit a new proposal, right? You cannot just ask for a reasonable extension of the one that you have.
We have never really gone with the extension because it would be really difficult to do that. But you can certainly submit a new proposal by clearly saying that this is a continuation, by clearly stating what is that you have achieved and what is new that you need to continue, and that will be accepted, but has to be a full proposal nevertheless.
No, because at the Barcelona Supercomputing Center, there's always the possibility, you know, to put the results of the previous proposal and submit a continuation, which is a new proposal, but the fact that has been successful up to that point has been considered.
Yeah, but it's the same thing as writing down a proposal where you exactly specify the achievements and what you have been doing so far, and then just write on the new part of the proposal.
No, yes,
yeah, okay.
Because the success of the previous part is considered by the panel.
I know, but I mean, for us, it would become too difficult, because then everybody would ask for an extension, and we cannot simply allocate resources based on an extension.
And thanks.
Thank you. Any other question?
I would have a question.
Yes.
So for a national proposal, we of course have to give the ask for a certain amount of node hours per year. Now, if our code only runs on CPUs, should we still ask for a specific number of node hours for the GPU nodes?
At CSCS, the only currency is node hours. Whether you are on a multi-core or whether you are on the hybrid, the only currency that we accept is node hours. This is the case since many years, so it's not something new. So you only have to worry about the node hours and not the core hours.
So, so despite the fact that the MC nodes have 3 times the core count, so
yes,
we
but
should.
There is always if your project is submitted on the your project is submitted on the hybrid system, and then you are one of the lucky one that because your code is purely CPU is moved on the multi-core partition, there is always a conversion factor applied. So this is why you need to do the math well on the hybrid.
Okay, so we. Okay, so maybe I write an email for some more details. Thank you.
Yeah, sure, of course. Of course, going from the hybrid to the multi-core, the allocation is reduced, it's not increased, because of what you said, that the 12 cores against the 36 cores on the multi-core. But this is why I'm saying you need to do the right thing when you apply for your resource allocation on the hybrid system. But you can please, I mean, write us an email and we will try to further clarify your doubts.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question? If not, you can always contact us. I mean, there's still 10 days or more for the national calls, and then basically a bit less than a month for the CHRONOS. So if you still have a question, you can always ask us. But any urgent clarification? Okay, then if not, I would like to thank you all for participating. I hope that the webinar has been useful, and at least if he has generated more questions, please do not hesitate to contact us to clarify this question. And thank you all for participating, and enjoy the rest of your day.